Immigration Minister Mark Miller says he plans to look into whether a man accused of plotting a terror attack in Toronto should have his Canadian citizenship revoked. The man and his son face 9 terrorism charges and are accused of conspiracy to commit murder on behalf of the Islamic State group. Mr. Miller says he's tasked his deputy minister with establishing a timeline of how the older of the 2 men became a Canadian citizen. Anthony Koch joined us to explain why the accused should have their citizenship revoked.
As it currently exists under Canadian law, if somebody immigrates to Canada and then receives citizenship, but either lies or withholds information that would otherwise render them ineligible either for immigration or for citizenship, and that information later comes to light, it is within the government's power to both revoke citizenship and request deportation. Now, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of most common sense, normal people, being caught on video slashing a man to death with a machete on behalf of ISIS is probably one of those pieces of information that would render somebody illegitimate for Canadian citizenship or immigration to Canada, and should result in the revocation of that citizenship and deportation from Canada when it was not discovered. So there's 2 parts to this. One, the government absolutely should deport this person and take strict their citizenship. And the second part is we still need to ask the question about how this wasn't uncovered to begin with. Because as we now know from more reporting from Global News, we only found out anything about this guy because the French intelligence basically tipped us off and said, hey, you might want to look into this guy because it seems like he may have been a former ISIS fighter and he's probably going to plan on doing something relatively similar to this at some point. So this was a few months ago. We're becoming a joke to our allies, to everybody around the world. We're incapable of doing our own job. We need to rely on other countries to do very basic things like say, hey, that ISIS terrorist that you allowed to become a citizen in your country is about to do something worse. You should probably look into that. We're just complete and utter state failure. Canada is becoming a joke of a country, and it's worth, we spend many people over 50% of their income in taxes every year. And I think it's about time people start asking why. Because if we can't do basic thing like screen people for being terrorists who film themselves hacking people to death, I think we got some pretty serious problems on our